Welcome to the Weber Cup at the Barnsley Metrodome, and the USA have established a slender lead on the final day. They lead by 11 points to 9. Yes, we've had history-making, perfect games and real drama here at the Barnsley Metrodome. The USA were ahead by 4. Europe keep, though, cutting that gap. At the moment, it's 2 points, which isn't much on this final day. Team Europe had a disappointing start to the event, but they fought back from 5-1 down. Spurred on by their local support, they levelled the score, but just can't seem to get ahead of the Americans, who are defending their title in style. Last time, Team Europe kept their 100% winning record in the Baker matches. They had 9 strikes and looked a much stronger team, taking a confident win. Then it was the doubles match, and the European duo Martin Larsson and Dom Barrett suffered from a couple of open frames, allowing Chris Barnes and Tommy Jones to take back their 2-point advantage. So far, it's 1 point apiece in this penultimate session here at Weber Cup 14. Coming up, it's the next instalment between two rivals. They're meeting for the 4th time in the singles format at this Weber Cup. It's Barrett versus Barnes. And then it's a doubles game as Europe's captain Mika Koivuniemi and Martin Larsson face Mike Fagan and Bill O'Neill. Can Europe ever get ahead of Team USA? There's only one way to find out. Let's get the action back underway. Time to introduce Team Europe's Dom Barrett. And now, Team USA's captain, it's Chris Barnes. Right, let's have a quick chat with them both. Come on over. You guys have played each other a few times in this Weber Cup. It's turning into a real rivalry, isn't it?
Yeah, it turns out as the random draws and without knowing what the other one picked, we bowled each other. This will be our 4th time in the Weber Cup this year. So unusual to bowl each other that much, and there's still a chance for another one later.
Absolutely. You guys know each other so well, don't you? And it's just one of the quirks of the team sheets that when you hand it in, you don't actually know who you're going to be playing when the team sheets are handed in.
Yeah, that's right. As we think about lane play and things like that, I guess the teams are thinking very, very similarly. So we go down the list and think about who's going to play in what order as the lane condition goes on, and I'm sure they do the same. So it just keeps getting picked out that Chris and I are playing each other. Okay, 4th time we've seen you guys play together. We'll look forward to it. Chris and Dom, will the USA be 3 points ahead, or can Europe narrow the gap? Let's find out with your commentators, Cass Edwards and Andy Boldfish.
Well, thanks very much indeed, Tony. Well, no prizes for guessing where Europe need to up their average. This is the 13th singles matchup in this year's Weber Cup. The United States have won 9 so far. So, can Dom start to buck the trend? Dom Barrett lives these days in Essex. Best finish in the 2012-13 season was in Vienna in the tournament prior to the Weber Cup. Good start! Strike for Dom Barrett.
Well, yeah, as he leads off and gets the strike, pressure immediately straight back on the American captain, Chris Barnes. If this man suffers from any pressure, if Barrett can keep things going and keep that one shot ahead, it will be very interesting as we get to the closing stages of this game. But interestingly, Chris Barnes has played against Dom 3 times so far in this event, and believe it or not, Andy, is averaging 257 against Dom Barrett, and there's another strike just to keep it equal. A pretty high average, of course, helped by the 300 game, holding the first singles match of the whole tournament. And if this match has been played, it's the third game that's been bowled on this lane since it's been redressed. So, Messenger!
Yes! Strike. Dom's second. 2 from 2 for Europe.
Yes, and fiancé Cassie liked that one. Great looking shot for Dom Barrett. Headpin comes flying back across the pin deck, and it looks so spectacular. Just watch this one.
Well, that's when you get a break, and you wonder just if the luck is turning in your favour. Another half a second or so, and that machine would have come down for the reset.
Dom's #1 fan. And Chris has got a few fans as well as he strings strike number 2 to keep it all level. Just going back to the lane condition, yeah, it's had 2 games on this lane already, which means that it's what they call bowling on the burn. Some of the lines that the players have been using have been dried out by other bowling balls, and so they're looking for a lot more back end, a lot more hook down the end of the lane, and they're going to have to adjust their speed and their angles to take advantage of that extra friction in the back end of the lane.
Dom needed a bit of help last time. Oh, he needed it again there. Doesn't get it though. And that is the first spare from Team Europe's Dom Barrett.
Both players standing way left on the approach. Ball not quite in the pocket. And that 6, as you can see, jumps around, even touches the 10 pin, but won't knock it over.
Second bowl does though, so the spare is made. First blemish for Dom after those 2 strikes. Oh, well, leaves that 7 pin hanging, and it's catching. So spare left for Team USA.
Yeah, just leave the 7 pin standing in the corner after 2 strikes in a row. Hard and straight.
Gutted it. Now that's a shocker from Chris Barnes, the American skipper there, leaving an open frame in frame 4 here. And all of a sudden, the ascendancy back with Dom Barrett.
You've got to get your angles right. It's all very well going hard and straight, but if it's not hard and straight at the target, it's going to drop in the channel and score 0. Big open frame. Very unusual from Chris Barnes, who, well, he doesn't even want to think about it. He realises that may be the chance or the opportunity that Barrett needs.
We've only seen 1 gutted so far, and it was Martin Larsson at the end of that opening session. Here's Dom. Striking! Just, but they'll take it, will Europe?
Certainly a late 10 pin, to say the least. This is not a bad looking shot. Barnes has had the open frame, light in the pocket, the 10 pin stands, and well, it's just a little nudge, isn't it, from that 6 pin, and get over. Fantastic strike for Dom Barrett.
That on the back of Barnes's open frame. The American skipper digging deep here. Oh, that's the way to do it. Strike straight back. And that is the mark of a captain, when things all of a sudden don't seem to be going your way necessarily. Just to reset, just to refocus and pull off a strike like that.
Yes, I find it almost hard to believe that Chris Barnes channeled that shot at the 7 pin and had the open frame. I guess he may miss single pins maybe twice a year in the season. Just crazy, and on television as well.
Well, it hurt his team here. Only time will tell.
Well, look at the maximum scores. Barnes is down to 267 if he can strike off. Dom pacing at 279, and still is if he can strike off the shoot here.
4 from 5 for Dom.
Yeah, he's throwing some pressure back at Chris Barnes and wants revenge for those couple of defeats that he had earlier on. He's really getting himself lined up. The ball is really in the zone. There's a lot of back end there, as I mentioned. The dry part of the lane, the ball snaps up, and, well, that's good enough for me. Dom takes the applause of the crowd. Friends and family here as well to support Dom, as usual. Pressure time on Chris Barnes because he's following. So as long as Dom keeps striking, Barnes has got to do the same thing, and still that might not be good enough.
4 strikes from 5 frames for Dom Barrett, 4 strikes from 5 frames for Chris Barnes. But of course it is that open that is really hurting he and his team at present.
And that's how we are at the halfway stage.
Dom Barrett on his first PBA title at the 2012 Scorpion Open, just weeks after Stu Williams had been the first Englishman to win the other side of the pond. Nothing like a bit of competitive rivalry inside your own team.
Yeah, both English bowlers doing extremely well for the UK bowling scene, winning in the United States, and 2 strikes in a row for Dom Barrett really does put the pressure, turn the screw on USA captain. There's a lot of strikes there for Dom Barrett, just the 2 open frames. Very good looking figures for the European #1 ranked player for the 4th year in a row. Well, Barnes has seen Barrett hit 3 in a row. Just to stay in touch, he has to do exactly the same thing.
Wide, got the pocket, got the messenger too. Thanksgiving maybe still a few weeks ago in the US, but get that turkey ready for basting.
Not the greatest shot, and Chris will admit this one. It's just gone outside his mark, and look how light that is on the headpin. There's a lot of mixing going on, a lot of scrambling on the left-hand side, and the timber falls, including the 10-pin. And Chris secretly realises how lucky that was. Oh dear, look at the body language. Bit of a mean look as well. But there you go, 40 strikes and 4 open frames, which is quite unusual for probably the #1 player in the world at this particular time.
Here's Dom Barrett with his 4-bagger. Excellent there for Dom and Team Europe. Can they drag themselves back to within 1 point again of the United States on the overall scorecard?
He's looking very locked and loaded, is Dom. Just a spare in the 3rd frame, but it's been perfect since then on the score sheet. Still could max out at 279. Frame by frame, Barnes is standing up and having to strike every single shot.
And he is. He's matching Dom. 4 in a row for the Englishman. 4 in a row now for America's skipper. Maximum of 267 remains for the Americans in this singles.
Yeah, it's quite an impressive set of score sheets, bar the single pin 9 missing frame 3 from Barnes. Almost every other shot has been in and around that 1-3 pocket. Barrett takes a re-rack of the pins, settles himself, cleans the oil off of his ball. So he's got a nice clean surface for the ball to roll down. And when it gets to the back end, to the dry area of the last 19 feet of the lane, the rotation he puts on the ball will make it hook up and hopefully drive through the 1 and the 3 pin. Set up the chain reaction to hit a strike and make 5 in a row for the Englishman.
Scratch that 4, make it 5. Europe have come alive.
And so have the domination fans in the crowd, the official European supporters, friends and family of Dom Barrett, all there in their blue shirts. Very impressive score sheet. Still looking at maximum 279 if he can strike out in the last couple of frames.
6 strikes thus far on this show lane in this match for Chris Barnes. Last 4 have been straight. And like Dom Barrett, Chris Barnes makes it 5 in a row. They're not going down without a fight here, United States.
Chris just showing some of the form that we know he has. The glitch in the 3rd frame, which was a single pin miss open frame. Had that been spared, they would have been dead level, pacing 279 apiece. And there you can see it's the big glitch in frame 3. Apart from that, he's been perfect. He still has to keep the concentration up though, because up in front of him is Dom Barrett, Europe's #1. Looking at 5 strikes in a row. This one for number 6. One more and it's drinks all round from Dom Barrett.
No, couldn't keep it going there. That was quite pedestrian, really, from Dom Barrett. Expect more power. Starts left, heads out wide, and then doesn't get the break he wanted there. 2 left standing.
Yeah, big overreaction in the back end there. I thought Dom hit his mark that he was looking for, but the ball snapped up. It may well be that the back end is getting even drier. So hard and fast to the spare, which he makes. Gives Chris Barnes the opportunity to bury one more and take the lead in the foundation frame. It's going to be a very high scoring game. Whoever wins, whoever loses. 7 strikes, 2 spares and no opens. That's a great looking game for Barrett, but it may not be enough if Chris Barnes can put 2 more strikes in the bank.
Well, that 9th frame spare there from Dom Barrett has dropped his maximum to below Chris Barnes for the United States for the first time in this match, and it's come at the worst possible time. Perfect from Chris Barnes. That is why he is the American skipper, and that is why he is appearing in his 8th straight Weber Cup.
6 strikes in a row from the American captain. Look at that. Fantastic scorecards, bar 1 frame. And look at the maximums. It's Chris Barnes working on a strike, going into the 10th with a 10-pin lead. What a turnaround that is in the closing frames. So Dom Barrett really needs 3 strikes here to go 257 to ask the question from Chris Barnes.
Bit of a break to the rhythm here. Though having said that, these players don't let re-racks affect them too much. And Dom hasn't there. Got the pocket and got the strike.
1 of 3, the Europeans hope. First shot in the 10th gives him the opportunity to shoot 2 more frames for 257.
Posted 2 points with 2 singles victories in amidst the carnage of last year's Weber Cup from a European perspective. On the end of the biggest hiding in the history of this competition. Another strike though for Dom. It's so much closer this year. Not entirely convinced about in this game though for Dom.
1 more strike from Dom Barrett for a 257 will make Chris Barnes shoot 2 strikes in the 10th frame if he's going to have a chance of victory. So again, it's a mighty important ball. This must be 10. Come on, Dom.
Yes! He's got it. Over to you, Chris. Let's see what the American skipper can do.
Well, what the American skipper has to do is shoot 2 strikes. It's a great finish from Dom Barrett. 257. Great looking game, and there you can see 10 strikes in the game. Can't really do much better than that, can you? But he's asking the question of #1 bowler Chris Barnes. Recent gold medalist in the World Championships. Picked up 2 golds. And he certainly needs a couple of gold shots now.
Pressure's on here.
It's all over.
Quite a conservative bowl that from Barnes. Well, was it getting to even he, the great one, America's skipper?
It's all over. The game is won for Europe. This really needs to be a strike, and he had to follow it with another, but he's straight through the face of the #1 pin. Only leaves a spare, which he converts. As you can see, his maximum score drops to 245. Dom is already in the changing room with a 257. Sweet revenge for the European. It's all over, bar the shouting, Chris.
Bowling out here and knowing what a fierce competitor he is, he will be furious with himself that he's failed to deliver right at the business end of that singles match. And Europe are back to within a point of the United States. This is finely poised. It's perfectly poised if you're a neutral. It is 11-10. Now then, who's Tony speaking with laneside?
Yeah, I'm here with Dom. Well done, Dom. On a personal level, you're having a pretty stunning Weber Cup, aren't you?
Yeah, I've always loved coming here. I'm not quite as good as Tommy on this lane, but not many people are. But yeah, I'm having a really good Weber Cup. My ball roll was matching up most of the time, and just trying to, go out there and get strikes.
Now, in the 9th frame in that match, you probably thought it had got away from you, but you had to keep your focus in the 10th just in case Chris made a mistake, didn't you?
That's right. This lane with the lights, it changes so fast. There's only one lane we normally bowl on 2, so one game we play anywhere else in the world is actually 2 on this lane, because we change lanes every other frame. So it's huge when you have to sit down and you have to wait, or especially when you're striking sometimes as well, like we both were. I had the shot. I didn't throw it very good, obviously, you could see that. But, on another 3 shots before, that probably would have gone through and strike. And I think Chris found that in the 10th frame.
Well played.
Thank you.
There you go, Dom Barrett, ladies and gentlemen. Europe have indeed come alive. They now trail again by just 1. Welcome back to the Weber Cup. The technical team here in Barnsley are just oiling the lanes. So I've come into the crowd to chat to a couple of the wives and girlfriends. I'm with Tommy Jones's wife, Nikki, and Dom Barrett's fiancée, soon-to-be wife, Cassie. Thanks for joining me, both of you. Let me ask you first, Nikki. This is your first Weber Cup. What's the experience been like for you, and how nervous do you get watching Tommy?
I get pretty nervous watching Tommy bowl, but this is actually really exciting. I've never experienced anything like this.
Does he like having you here, or does it make him a little bit more nervous having you in the crowd? What's his reaction?
I don't think he cares.
He's so laid back and chilled out, isn't he? And we've obviously been watching him play for many years. Now, what about you, Cassie? Because you're a bowler yourself. What's the experience like of watching Dom play?
It's awesome. I mean, I've got a pretty good fiancé to watch. So he's one attractive and 2 pretty good bowler as well. So either way, it's pretty good for me.
Well, we've seen you here for a few years, but we've never seen you in that jumper before. Perhaps you'd just like to show us it in all its glory and tell us what it says?
So we're doing Keep Calm and Spank the Yanks, and we're hoping that in this next session they're going to start spanking the Yanks.
OK, guys, thank you very much indeed. And good luck to both of you for the rest of the tournament. Let's check out where things stand in this year's Weber Cup. Europe continued their fight back before the break, and they've now won 2 out of the 3 matches in this penultimate session. Team USA lead 11-10. Now it's time for the second doubles game of the night. The Americans face an all-Scandinavian lineup. Captain Mika Koivuniemi, the Moose and Martin Larsson are hoping to draw level once again here in Barnsley.
Of course, we all are here for winning. Every 8 players are here for winning, so we all hate to lose. So we need to bowl great. We need to do our job as well we can, and hopefully a couple of breaks goes our way and we end up winning this.
We know we can beat them, so we're just going to dig in and do whatever we can to get this thing going.
Playing for Team USA is their king of swing, Mike Fagan, and Bill O'Neill, who seems to be struggling during this Weber Cup.
I've been a little frustrated by the way I've bowled so far, but just with talking with Tommy and Chris and Mike, I think they've straightened out my problems, so I'm ready to go today.
I know how good Bill is. I know how good he is for almost 20 years now. It feels pretty good to have him on your side.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the arena Mika Koivuniemi and Martin Larsson. And now representing Team USA, Mike Fagan and Bill O'Neill. And over to your commentators, Cass Edwards and Andy Bodfish.
It's match 22 of the 2013 Weber Cup. Doubles from Europe, Mika Koivuniemi, team captain, and Martin Larsson taking on Mike Fagan and Bill O'Neill. Let's not forget, the United States are looking for a hat-trick of Weber Cup victories. They won in 2011 and they won in 2012, the infamous meltdown at the Metrodome. Europe haven't won since back-to-back titles in 2009 and 2010. Up first and striking first for the Americans is Mike Fagan.
Great shot from the King of Swing. Gets things underway with a strike.
Here's the European skipper, the Moose, mighty Mika Koivuniemi from Tampere, but has lived over a decade now in Michigan in the United States. A winner of bowling titles in 19 countries. One of the real veterans of the sport globally. No, leaves his spare straight out there. There's Mika.
Yeah, 10 pin in the corner off of a ball that was just a fraction light. The traditional loft down the lane from Mika Koivuniemi. Unfortunately, the ball deflects, and you can see the 3 pin hits the 6, which just drops flat in the gutter. Not enough reaction or action to take that 10 away. Larsson, hard and fast and straight. So it can only be a spare. And unfortunately, as you can see, the maximum score for the Europeans drops down by 10 already.
Well, Martin Larsson there partnered up with Don Barrett in the first doubles matchup of this session, and they were beaten by Chris Barnes and Tommy Jones. Here's the real deal, Bill O'Neill.
Well, unfortunately, just goes a little bit wide. The man has just recently won the gold medal at the World Championships in the singles event. He was the defending champion and defended the title, took the gold medal and shot a 300 game in the process. But unfortunately, this one's just got a little bit wide. It's a freshly dressed lane, and he got snagged up in the oil just a little bit, so it went wide, and had to rely on Mike Fagan to clean up with the spare. There's a couple of shots of both the American players. Mike Fagan with that ball way above his head. Great follow through from both players, holding steady on that left leg after a deep knee bend. Hold that position until the ball gets to the pins.
Mika.
Yes, the European captain buries another one in the pocket and carries all 10. So next frame up, it will be Larsen who will lead. Two very tall players here. Need that deep knee bend to get down to the delivery point. Both quite away from the foul line, especially Koivuniemen on the left there. Two great European champions together in a doubles lineup.
Bill O'Neill spared last time, so he's up first again here and leaves that classic split, the 7-10. And it's going to leave Mike Fagan here to have a shot at the bedposts.
I'm not going to suggest that he's going to make a spare here, but it has been picked up in this tournament.
Mika did it, session 1.
O'Neill with a ball that didn't have too much drive on it, didn't make the pocket, and got no reaction in the back end.
Didn't even go for it, did he?
Well, he went for the one and was hoping for a bounce out, but it didn't happen this time. I mean, that is a kind of like sort of 500 to 1 shot, really, trying to pick up the 7 and the 10. Not seen that often.
And it's an open frame that drops the United States maximum score into below 260 here. Here's Martin Larsson. Suddenly becomes the anchor after Mika's strike in the previous frame for Europe. And Martin responds like for like.
Yeah, great looking shot from the man from Sweden. Absolutely buries it, and he looks quite pleased with that. As does the captain on the left there. Yeah, we can have a quite nice little chat about those two strikes and an early lead. Big open frame there in frame 3 for the Americans has made the difference.
Whereas Europe still have an achievable 290. Bill O'Neill finally gets that strike. And Mike Fagan will be up next, and just to settle his jitters a bit, Bill O'Neill will be thankful for that.
Yes, he needs something. He's suffering just a little bit. Not sure whether he's got an injury or anything. He seemed to be a bit of pain in his back recently in a couple of shots I saw, but that may not be the case, but he's certainly buried that strike, which will bring up Fagan to lead off next frame.
Mika Koivuniemen hasn't managed to tumble the 7-pin, and we'll leave that spare for Martin Larsson, much like in the opening frame.
I was almost going to say a classic Mika Koivuniemen shot, but it just rode a little bit high on the head pin. Leaves a single pin standing, so it's no strike. Can't continue the run, and it's Larsson to spare up.
I missed a spare like that in the opening session. That was against Mike Fagan too. Dispatches that though.
Yeah, it's not that often that we see a single pin miss, but I think we've seen 2 in this tournament. One by Martin Larsson, as you mentioned, and of course one by, let's say, the number 1 bowler in the world, Chris Barnes, who buried a 10-pin shot in the channel. It happens at times, even for the best players in the world. Just a lapse in concentration, wrong angle of delivery, and that single pin is missed.
Mike Fagan up at the midway point in this doubles match. No, Messenger tapped on the door, was turned away, so another spare.
That was almost a 7 and 10 pin conversion, wasn't it? Fagan not very happy with this. It's gone wide, it's stayed wide. The 7 pin's gone, but there's not enough momentum to kick the 10 pin out. Look at that, right behind it.
Bill O'Neill with a dustpan and brush here.
No, it's just cleaning up, you mean?
Indeed.
Yeah, they don't look the happiest pair in the world, do they, at the moment? Team USA in the lead by 11 points to 10. And these two will obviously want to extend it, but at the moment, although they're behind, they certainly don't look too happy. Maybe struggling on this freshly dressed lane, where the lane conditioner goes down to 41 feet before the ball comes off that oil onto the dry back end of the lane, and that's where it hooks up.
Straight through. Down the pocket. Strike for Team Europe's captain.
This is more like the old Mika, the classic shot. A bit of loft down the lane and a great reaction in the back end, carrying all 10 pins away. Have some of that, that's what he's telling those pins.
Nice margin for Europe at this point, but of course it could all change. Mike Fagan now. Strike.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate. The Americans have had that huge open frame. 7-10 split in frame number 3. But that's got Mike Fagan smiling. It brings Bill O'Neill as the lead man for the next frame. Larsson's got a chance here to make 2 in a row for the Europeans. He's working on that last strike from Koivuniemi. Wants to maintain that 32-pin lead, and does with a great looking shot. 2 strikes in a row for the Europeans, and there's the European fan club, and they love every minute of this one.
Europe have won 2 games in a row on a couple of occasions, going back to sessions 2 and 3. Would be a mini run again here. Could Mika Koivuniemi and Martin Larsson build on Dom Barrett's singles victory over Chris Barnes? Here's Bill O'Neill. Strike. Well played, Bill O'Neill.
Well, he's certainly got the reaction in the back end. Slightly light on the headpin, as we may or may not see. But he got the reaction and some pin action, as all the bowlers really like to get. And it's 2 strikes in a row for the Americans, and they're just hanging in there. But at the moment, it's the Europeans with the lead, looking to finish this game and to tie the whole tournament up at 11 points each. Needs a bit of a captain's innings to finish off here.
It'll be the first time that's happened, Cass, since the end of match 2, right at the start of the opening session. Well, Mika Koivuniemi will try and make the most of his time on the lane here, because he's not featuring again in this session. Strike.
Great reaction here from the European captain. Look at this shot. Just a tad wide, but a great reaction in the back end. The 5 pin's about the last one to go, but he doesn't care. That's a bonus time for the team. And a high five to all the Moose fans from Mika Koivuniemi.
So, that was Europe's 3rd strike in a row. The US looking for the same outcome here. Achieved by Mike Fagan. The Americans get their turkey.
Yeah, a bit of a Thanksgiving Day type strike there for Mike Fagan. 3 in a row, that's the situation. Just that one open frame, which has caused so much damage to the total score. And it may well be that that is the frame that could potentially lose this game for Team USA. Got to keep striking, got to keep going and stay with it.
Martin Larsson is up next in the singles against the man who's just sat down, Mike Fagan. Will be 3 strikes in a row. Make that 4 strikes in a row. Martin Larsson with the fist pump. Europe in command of this doubles match.
Yes, indeed, Andy. And this is a great looking shot. It carries all 10, makes 4 in a row. And it looks as though the Team Europe boys, the doubles, will take this game if they can just stay clean with it.
The real deal. Finally, getting those two on the right, tumbling the 9 and the 10, but leaves the spare for Mike Fagan to polish off. Slipping away from the United States here. Game, that is.
Yeah, big disappointment on Bill's face. He can't believe the reaction he's getting off this lane. It was the 4 and the 7. And woohoo! Mike Fagan just about spares it. But this game is slipping away, as you can see there. Maximum score drops to 2-1-5 with that spare. And I'm going to suggest that this one is all over. This will be a victory for Team Europe to square the whole tournament up. Thanks to the bowling of these two guys, and especially Mika here playing the captain's role.
Europe's foundation frame. Strike time! 5 in a row. Another blue mark on the board, crucially. And we are looking at the equaling up of the scores in Weber Cup 2013 here.
Yes, looking at that European score, 2 9 spares in there. How close is this going to be to a 300 game? Perhaps. Bill O'Neill, nothing, I'm afraid. Can't make the pocket, can't carry 10. So again, it can only be a spare that Fagan's going to have to take. Spare and strike, and then it can only make 204. They know it's all over.
You would not have been able to guess what was coming, having observed the opening session in Weber Cup 14, when Europe weren't really at the races after they won the opening Baker. They lost 5 singles on the spin, but since then it has been nip and tuck. They're on the verge of taking a 3-1 lead in this session.
Yes, sympathetic applause for Bill O'Neill, who finishes with a 7-10 split in the pocket, which sums up the form that he is kind of having just at the moment. Fagan doesn't have to bowl it, but Bill O'Neill's gone to the restroom, put his feet up, and well, that was just a crazy shot, wasn't it? Just to finish off.
The United States way down at 202 here, and this is all building into fascinating tussle in the final session at this Weber Cup. Well, this is all a bit anticlimactic really, because the point has been won for Team Europe, and that's why Martin and Mika can afford to just take their foot off the gas a little. He looks relaxed now, does Europe's captain.
Yeah, it's been a long time since he's been in this position. Squaring up the series so far, and it will be 11 points each.
Yeah, terrific stuff there from Mika. One to interact with the crowd inside the Barnsley Metrodome, although we haven't seen that famous Moose celebration for a while. I think, well, he'll say saving it for tonight's session, the business end of this competition. Martin just to bowl out with a strike. Yeah, it's European fists pumping the air inside the Metrodome. We are all square in Weber Cup 14. Look at that, 11 blue points, 11 red points. It is all to play for in Weber Cup 14.
It is indeed. I'm with the European team here who've just won another crucial point. Miki, you're now level. How good does that feel after what happened on Friday?
It feels really good, but we need to keep going. Match is not over. We still need to win matches and keep focus and throwing good shots.
Is that your message to your team? Don't get too excited. There's a long way to go.
Yes, that's the message. We have to take a frame, every shot on time, and making good shots.
And Martin, you're back next on this lane. Presumably, that's a good thing, is it, playing again when you just played well?
For sure, yeah. So now we're level for the second time, and we're going to try to take the lead for the second time.
Martin, Mika, well done. And will they take the lead for the second time? The Europeans are like a fine wine. They just get better with age. But will it be a vintage Weber Cup for them? Find out next time.
like to